From Washington, this is VOA News. I'm Dave DeForest reporting the United States welcomes the release of 10 sailors. The release came Wednesday, a day after 2 boats and their crews entered Iranian waters and were detained. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said resolution of the incident was a success for diplomacy.
This kind of issue was able to be peacefully resolved and efficiently resolved, and that is a testament to the critical role that diplomacy plays in keeping our country safe, secure, and strong.
American authorities are still unsure of the circumstances surrounding the crew's detention. Pentagon Chief Ash Carter has spelled out U.S. strategy for retaking the Iraqi city of Mosul and Raqqa in Syria, cities he calls Islamic State's 2 power centers. Carter spoke to troops from the 101st Airborne Division in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, men and women who will soon be deployed to Iraq to help train Iraqi and Kurdish forces in defeating militants. Carter said he envisions sending Iraqi forces from the south and Kurdish Peshmerga fighters from the north to surround Mosul and cut it off. Turkish authorities say 5 suspects have been arrested in connection with the recent suicide bombing that killed 10 German tourists and wounded 15 other people. Speaking to reporters in Istanbul, Turkish Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu said police arrested 4 more suspects Wednesday, adding that the Islamic State's links to the attack had been confirmed. Turkish authorities are identifying the bomber as an immigrant affiliated with the Islamic State group. A suicide bomber killed 12 people in northern Cameroon on Wednesday. There has been no official claim of responsibility. This is VOA News. The White House says U.S. President Barack Obama spoke by phone Wednesday with Russian President Vladimir Putin on a number of issues. The 2 leaders discussed ongoing efforts to bring an end to the civil war in Syria and abiding by the terms of a ceasefire in Ukraine. Both leaders voiced support for United Nations talks to resolve the civil war in Syria. Mr. Obama and Mr. Putin also discussed a united international response to North Korea's recent nuclear test. The U.S. has announced plans to expand its refugee admissions program with a goal of providing more assistance to Central Americans. Secretary of State John Kerry announced the expansion on Wednesday as he outlined U.S. foreign policy goals for the year. In a speech at National Defense University, Kerry said the new provisions would offer legal and safe alternatives to people from El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. World Economic Forum founder Klaus Schwab says the fusion of difficult technological advances will be a major focus at the forum's annual meeting next week in Davos. Lisa Schlein reports.
More than 2,500 leaders in the fields of business, government, academia, civil society, the media, and arts will meet to debate matters of major import in Davos. As part of the formal agenda, more than 300 sessions will deal with critical issues involving global security, the refugee and migration crisis, geopolitical tensions, climate change, sustainable development, and the global economy. Lisa Schlein, Geneva.
Officials in eastern Afghanistan said a gun and bomb attack Wednesday near the Pakistani consulate in Jalalabad killed 7 security personnel and wounded 10 other people. Islamic State militants claimed responsibility. Pakistani police and hospital officials say a suicide bombing Wednesday at a polio vaccination center in southwestern Pakistan killed at least 14 people and wounded 23. Pakistan said Wednesday it had arrested several individuals belonging to the Jaish-e-Mohammed militant group Indian authorities suspect that group masterminded an assault earlier this month on an Indian airbase. The United States is expressing concern about an ongoing crackdown against Chinese human rights defenders. Reports emerged Wednesday that several prominent human rights lawyers have been arrested and charged with state subversion. Some of them were held for 6 months before being charged. The lawyers were among more than 130 detained last July after being accused of organizing protests outside of courtrooms in an effort to pressure local authorities. State media has called the attorneys a criminal gang that created public disorder. From the VOA News Center in Washington, I'm Dave DeForest.
That's the latest world news from VOA.